Hello and welcome to today's video. I am swatching Only You Can Stop the Hero from Bee's Knees Lacquer. This polish was part of the Only a Monster collection from July 2022, and I nearly bought it in its entirety. There were just so many good jellies and shimmers in this collection, and I have never bought an entire collection of anything. It is a true coral color, and it has a shift that goes from gold into chartreuse and then sort of skips over into blue. Today I was a bit messy. I don't know if I'm alone on this, but I have this terrible tendency to want to always get as close as possible to my skin to minimize the nail polish gap. But then I fly a little too close to the sun and bump my skin with the brush. So my first coat is a bit of a train wreck, but on the bright side, it is a light colored shimmer, and so it's easy to clean up. I think some of the problem for me is that my nails are not terribly long, so I want to use as much of the surface area of my nail as I can, and then I go a little overboard. I keep thinking that getting a gap of just a millimeter is better than getting a gap of 1.1 millimeters. And I've heard someone say perfection is the enemy of good, and I feel like that definitely applies here. The base is a true coral, and the shifts are not manifesting entirely here in the LEDs. If you like the Doomacorn sibling from the last video, wait until you see the shifts in this one. They are magnificent. I'm getting a little gold, a little chartreusey green, and blue. I think you can see the gold on my other nails a little bit better than you can on my thumb. This polish was one of the first pinks I bought to try to help me out of my color slump. I have worn it several times, so I see that as a good thing. I was hoping just having it available would encourage me to randomly pick it out, and my theory has proved true. We were warned by the maker that it might fade, but mine has not done so in 2 years. I do keep it in a cool dark drawer, so I had hope that it might avoid discoloration. On the swatch day, I picked this out of my collection to specifically wear with to take back what is mine on my other hand. They match each other in tone and saturation very well. It's also a more subtle manicure than I've been wearing. It is noticeable that each hand is painted differently, but it might escape the attention of some. We are only going to 2 coats today. If I applied 3, I was worried that the shimmer on this hand would be too strong and that the base would be too opaque to match the other hand. But for the sake of clarity, I think you could get near opacity in 3 coats with this polish, but I think you would only reach between 85 and 90% coverage. Again, this was more about matching the vibe of the other hand than anything else, and it was a more sheer polish. I think inside under the LEDs, the shimmer is pulling the base to look a little more peachy than coral, but it is a coral. It does lean a little bit more pink than a peach. I also think the shimmer is looking a little subtle inside here. When we get out to the full hand shots, the shimmer is not subtle at all. It is still translucent enough to let you see the base color underneath, and I think some of that is that we left it in 2 coats, but some of that is the polish itself. I'm still wearing this manicure when I'm doing my voiceover, and even looking at my nails now, the base color does sort of read as a neutral for me, because again, my skin does tend to be quite pink. I love the amount of shifting in this polish. Look at that blue into pink into gold shift all at the same time at different portions of my nail. You can see it best when I swing over to the left, and my nail real estate is pretty limited. This is the rocket popsicle of polishes, not because it shares the same colors, but because of that strong gradient effect. I think some people refer to those as firecracker popsicles. In the sun, I don't think there's a purple shift. I think we're seeing the blue shimmer playing with the coral base to sort of make a fuchsia at the edges. That blue shift is what convinced me I would like this color. Even if I couldn't summon much enthusiasm for pink at the time, I did love that blue. Obviously, I have since grown to be really fond of this polish. Because the base is coral, the green shift is quite muted. I find the polish jumps from gold to chartreuse and then straight into fuchsia. I do think you get a little more chartreuse here in the shade and when we go indoors, but then it is the shy color in this polish. I am really enjoying the fuchsia shift. I feel like I'm getting two versions of pink in one, the coral base and that portion of the shimmer. In the shade, I think the blue shift is more subtle and the gold gets amped up a little bit. I do often think of this as my pink flamingo polish, even though the base is coral. When we were in the sun, there was a hint of an orange shift, but it wasn't easy to see, but in the shade, I feel it brings it out more. In a skittle, I might pair this with, say, a green to represent a flamingo pool float, a blue for the water, another color to represent maybe a bathing suit, perhaps a purple, and then maybe a yellow for the sun. I could symbolically represent a fun day at the pool. If you're asking yourself, did she look at this polish and see a flamingo pool floaty? Yes, that is absolutely what happened. Indoors, we have that really lustrous sheen. I especially like the gold shift inside. It gives the polish, above and beyond everything else, a pink lemonade feel. In two coats, you can still make out the base color because the shimmer isn't too heavy. I suppose in my pool day panorama, this could also be the nice chilly drink in your hand. For me, this is a very versatile polish that could fit into a lot of different types of skittles and manicures that I would want to wear. Being able to wear this in either 2 or 3 coats, depending on the look I want, is also ideal. And that is all the daydreaming about going for a swim today. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Here is a clip of a mourning dove giving himself a little preen and my chipmunk once again not availing herself of her cheeks.